Hey everyone, hope you can hear me okay. Welcome. We're just going to allow another minute or so for people to stream in here. While we're waiting, if you don't mind, jump into the chat and let us know where you're joining us from. Well, hello from Michigan and Alberta. Very nice. Hey, Atlanta. We're going to get started in about 1 minute. And thank you so much for joining. This is C3 SoftWorks. Some of you may already be part of our family, and that's great. Some of you may be new. We're going to go over our agenda here in just a second. Hey, Tucson. We're going to also be participating in the chat throughout the webinar. Some of it will be facilitated. And anytime that you have questions, insights, comments, concerns, please feel free to join that chat and keep that dialogue going. Yes. My colleague Tristan is moderating the chat, so he'll be able to help answer any questions that you throw in there, or if you need more links, we will certainly post those again. Those links are for the handout for this webinar if you want it. You don't need to have it. It's just a nice to have if you would like it. Okay, so basically today we're going to be kind of workshopping some ideas about microgaming in your learning and development programs, and kind of how to use that, what is it, how to use it, how to create a culture of learning that promotes intrinsic motivation, or that idea that we want to constantly improve our workflows, ourselves, our performance, etc., and kind of some practical application tips for that. So that's kind of where we're going. And I think as people stream in, we're just going to get started with a little bit of an icebreaker activity to shake off the morning thus far. It's going to be a very quick game. And in case you're part of the C3 family and already wondering if this is part of our platform, no, it is not. But stay tuned, because this spring we will be debuting a brand new product that we are pretty excited about. This is just a quick little icebreaker game. So here are the rules. You will have 10 seconds to submit your answers or guesses into the Zoom chat. The prize is bragging rights, or, self-satisfaction that you know your geography. Well done. So there are 3 total questions, short and sweet. And this little icebreaker, by the way, is straight from Canva, which is another great resource if you don't use it for graphic design and content development. I literally plucked this right from Canva, didn't really even do anything to it. So if that helps you, let's get started. So you have 10 seconds to submit your answer to the chat for each question, starting now. Ooh, Kathleen on the quick take. Very nice. Okay, and the answer is South Korea. Very good. That one was fairly easy, right? Okay, this one may be a little bit trickier. Your timer is starting now. Okay, time is up. And how many of you got Indonesia? I think a couple of you got it. Well done, good work. Okay, last question. Guess the country based on the hints provided. I know, right? Not Japan. Ooh, quick on the take on that one, all of you. That one should be fairly easy, I hope. Okay, and we have Italy, of course. Good job, everybody. Thanks for participating and playing. And that concludes our webinar on microgaming, and I hope you all enjoy your lunch break now. Just kidding. Please don't go anywhere. We're not letting you off that easy. We will continue, and we will talk about microgaming. We will briefly address some considerations on what to ditch, what to keep in regard to using gamification in general. And then we'll experience a live microgaming session together. Hopefully, you will leave with some fresh ideas to bring back to your organization or your training program, or you just enjoy a nice little break for now at the very least. So we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to stop my video for now so that I am not too distracting. And we are going to define what microgaming is. So I want to first talk about what gamification is and what games are, because they're slightly different from gamification. So games are individual experiences where there are typically winners and losers. And they're great for knowledge, recall, terminology, product rollouts, for example. Gamification using gaming concepts in non-game contexts and extends the same ideas with points, feedback, maybe a leaderboard that is earned throughout a learning process, and it's applied to real life scenarios to reach the goal of performing tasks more effectively. So microgaming is kind of the best of the two worlds of microlearning and gamification, where we can deliver powerful nuggets of learning in an interactive environment that helps the information stick. In the chat, I'd like you to share what strategies you are using to keep engagement high during your training sessions. And if you see an idea that you like, jot it down on your handout or make a digital note. But we're going to talk about how both microlearning and gamification deliver results when they meet learning objectives. And every organization or institution wants their learners to get the most out of those learning objectives, right? Because that helps to improve performance and metrics and the bottom line. But the way we learn has changed remarkably with technology, and our concentration and attention spans have decreased significantly as a result. So this means that there is a small window to gain attention, and a little has to go a long way in terms of delivered content. Hey, Lori, thanks for giving us a shout out that way. Anybody else? Okay, Tally, nice. If you have, digital badges to track progress, love it. Heather, review games throughout training. Yes, very good. Any other ideas that you want to share into that chat about how you're trying to keep engagement high is great. And go ahead and continue that conversation. I'm just going to continue with presentation. But yeah, new world of learning. It is indeed a new world in many respects. And technology, along with the pandemic, shifted how people learn, how we consume information. We now have generations of digital natives that learn coding in elementary schools and absorb the world through social media platforms. Millennials are an established sector of the workforce now, and Gen Z is the upcoming portion, right? And they are our future CEOs and industry disruptors. They want and need different learning pathways, especially if it is relevant to their role and adds value to their work life and personal lives. And according to LinkedIn's Workplace Learning Report, 76% of Gen Z workers see learning as the key to their advancement. And their generation outpaces all other generations in their consumption of online courses. So it's kind of imperative to make sure our forms of communication and serious learning are aligned with these expectations. Otherwise, we kind of risk losing interest and engagement rather quickly from people who, really would like it. And one of the biggest advantages of using microgaming as an instructional method is that it emphasizes performance support rather than accumulating knowledge in your traditional instructional scenario. So as you know, both are important and they have their place in the world of learning and development. But there has been a lot more focus on how to shake up that traditional classroom style of delivering material and using reviews to assess knowledge, and shift to a more work-friendly approach that offers in-demand and on-the-go learning with short bursts of education, maybe 15 minutes tops. And this allows time-stressed workers to quickly learn a new skill or find solutions to problems and move on with their day, improving their performance and productivity. So in this regard, less is actually more at times, and helps to meet that psychological criteria that that new generation of workers and learners is looking for. And gamification and microgaming promote active learning, where participants can have ownership in their learning process. And to keep this viable, however, it has to meet some requirements. So first, it should be motivational, hopefully cross-cultural and interactive. Gamified content really helps bridge those gaps, and it helps build connections this way. Second, it needs to be relevant and meaningful, and ideally accessible for in-demand learning. There is a reason there has been a huge shift to e-learning lately, and it's not just fallout from the pandemic. People want and need to learn on the job. So this means, lastly, it needs to create an experience that is memorable, but it also needs to reach your learning objectives, right? So this is where microgaming can be incredibly useful to create long-term impact, where people have access to 5 to 10-minute learning games that are personalized and relevant to their role, and that actually help them improve performance or solve problems. So gamified content encourages learners to apply and practice what they are learning as they are learning it, which allows people to form long-term memories that are directly applicable to their job functions and can easily be achieved with gamification. Okay, so let's discuss some suggestions on what to do and maybe what to ditch. In the chat, I would also like you to add what you would like to add to these lists, either to do or to ditch. I'm going to keep talking and start with the keepers. So do use gamified content that supports your performance objectives and your KPI goals. Get very clear on what those are. Do focus on how to minimize your content to shorter, more powerful sessions that are packed with interaction and information, and then just let that marinate. Do include a variety of question types to keep people on their toes. And of course, all kinds of media that keep it visually compelling. And very important, do make sure to provide feedback to your learners verbally, live in person, or maybe it's authored through your LMS or one of our templates in our self-paced environments. We all want and need feedback to guide us, to inform us of how our performance is ranked, et cetera. And playing while learning is really no exception. And moving on to what to ditch, starting with games for the sake of games. And this just simply means we start to degrade the value of playful learning when it's not attached to a learning objective or goal. So just make sure it's still aligned with, a skill, a task, a performance requirement, something that benefits the worker in their role. And along with that, giving out prizes is great and it's fun, but too many superficial prizes can start to backfire, and it actually starts to replace that intrinsic motivation to simply, better ourselves, to learn more, and be better. So be careful with the rewards you're offering. And one size fits all approaches to how we design and instruct our curriculums are necessary for some aspects, certainly, but may be applied only when necessary if we don't want training sessions to become a chore. So keep it relevant, keep it fresh, keep it short, or flexible and adaptive if possible. And lastly, if you're already using gamification, fantastic. And start thinking outside the box. How to use your magical tool beyond review sessions. Maybe start exploring microgaming sessions throughout a lecture, or maybe try a gamified newsletter or a gamified blog, or use it as an onboarding icebreaker instead of just a review, etc. And we have lots of ideas on our website. We have an interactive blog. We create interactive newsletters for a demoing purpose. There are lots of ideas to use this that are kind of beyond just review and assessment. And if you're using it for that, great. Also great, just giving you more ideas. Lastly, if you're wondering about the ROI of game-based training, I have a few additional insights to share with you before we launch our microgame learning module. So games provide a non-threatening learning environment, and they can help reduce stress, they can ease anxiety, and they help keep people engaged. They help build relationships by encouraging bonding for even remote workers, which can result in better collaboration and increased communication. And games create fun with a purpose, which means they challenge the learner to apply what they have learned in a safe and fun way. So serious learning is achieved through assessment, reinforcement, and feedback, all from one session. So we will now experience a live game. And I just want to include a few tips for anyone that's new to our platform or how to use this. A couple of best practices. So before we get started, you will be using your phone or any smart device that connects to the internet to participate. And you will be using your device as a keypad to answer the questions as you follow along with the shared screen for the visuals. And depending on your sleep settings on your phone, for example, you may need to refresh your browser to return to the current place in the game instead of trying to log back in. Some question types will require you to hit a submit button on the bottom for your answer to be received and counted. So just kind of look out for that. And today we're using one of our templates from the Bravo Zone called Tally, which is a gamified presentation tool. And after the learning module, we'll take a peek at the builder and how I created that exact presentation for a very quick demo. And then we'll be wrapping it up for today. So without further ado, let's get started. I'm going to get my game ready. Here it is. We are going to be learning about time management. Yay. So to join, you are simply going to scan that QR code, or you can copy and paste the link on the bottom of your screen to a browser and punch that in. And when it asks for a 4-digit code, you will use 0016. You can use your name or a moniker. We're not tracking this. However you want to join is great. I'm going to allow just a little bit of time for everyone to get in. And by the way, this is how your participants would be joining as well. Okay, fantastic. We're going to go ahead and get started. If you missed it or you still want to join, no worries. You can join with this link at the bottom of the screen at any time. So this is an interactive presentation, so you will be participating throughout. There will be some lecture component. You'll have to read some slides, and you will be interacting with the content directly. That's really kind of the invitation of Tally. So get those fingers ready. And once again, this is more of an example or inspiration of how to use Tally. If you do not absorb or learn all of this information right this minute, do not sweat it. Think of this more as an example. Okay, so here are our learning goals. Purpose of this module is to provide helpful techniques. We're going to explore 5 different proven processes that you can maybe even implement. So even if you learn nothing about gamification today, maybe you learn something about time management. Does this sound familiar? You have less time to do things, but you have more things to do. Effective time management goes beyond productivity and efficiency at work. It definitely carries over into our personal lives, right? Any of those people, any of our friends who work from home understand this for sure. So technique number one, the Pareto analysis, also known as the 80-20 rule. And shout out in the chat if you know if any of these already or use them. I just learned about a couple of these putting this together. But this is the idea that 20% of actions are responsible for 80% of outcomes. Best for problem solvers and analytical thinkers. And how it works is you list the problems you are facing. You identify the root cause of the problem, such as distractions, maybe. You assign a score to each problem, the higher numbers to more important problems or bigger distractions. And then you group those problems together by cause. So by, social media, by work, by kids, etc. Add up the score of each group. And then the group with the highest score is the issue you should work on first. And then you take action. Okay, so that is Pareto analysis. Here's your question. The Pareto analysis rule is the idea that 20% of actions are responsible for 80% of outcomes, true or false? And you are seeing some of your answers come in live. This is an optional setting, as some of you may know, that you can use in Tally. And the answer is true. Well done. Okay, strategy number two. The Pomodoro technique. You have to say it like an Italian because that's the Pomodoro is the Italian word for tomato, apparently, which I also learned. So this technique uses a timer to break down your work in intervals. So each interval is known as the Pomodoro after the creator. And the benefit of this process is twofold because it also enables functional goal setting for daily and weekly achievements. So how it works, first, you choose a task you need to get done. Second, you set a timer, for example, for 25 minutes. Then you focus on that task. And when the timer rings, you write a check mark on some paper. And then you take a short brain break. There we go. And this can be anything not related to work. Pet your dog, get some coffee, stretch, go for a quick walk. And then you repeat steps 2 to 5. Once you have completed this process 4 times, you can begin to take longer breaks. So maybe 30 minutes at a time. And this is best for creative thinkers or those who feel burnt out. So here's your question. What other benefit other than the time management skills does the Pomodoro technique offer? Now, these are all fairly relevant, but one was suggested as a twofold benefit. And it's a skill, not an outcome. I'm going to give you that. Okay, so survey says, and correct answer is actually goal setting as a skill. That was the other beneficial skill. Okay, third technique, the pickle jar theory. This theory helps you figure out what is useful and what is not in your daily life. It allows you to plan tasks, time to spare, and you set your priorities for the day this way. So you have to imagine a pickle jar. It's full of sand and pebbles and rocks. The sand is at the bottom and the rocks sit at the top. So the sand is your disrupting elements or your distractions, your texts, emails, social media, etc. Your pebbles are the tasks that need to be completed but could be delegated. And then the rocks are the most important tasks that need to get done that day, time-sensitive things. This is best for visual people and concrete thinkers. So how it works is you make a list with these types of tasks in mind, starting with the rocks and ending with the sand if time permits. You add a reasonable time estimate for each one, and then you leave a small buffer in your workday for the pebbles and the sand. Okay, here's your question. This is an image mapping question, so you're going to click on the image that answers this question. According to the pickle jar theory, which element represents the most important tasks that need to get done each day? And I, as an instructor, am just watching this little bar over here to make sure everyone has had a chance to answer before I advance the screen. And we're going to move on, and it looks like, yes, all of you got that right. Well, most of you got that right. Well done. It is rocks. Fourth technique is the time blocking method. This is a scheduling format, maybe the most basic one, that helps boost productivity by dividing your day into specific blocks of time for each task. So from the moment you wake up, you assign each time block in your day a task. Works best for work from home parents or analytical thinkers. And how it works is you divide a piece of paper into 2 columns. On the left, you write down each hour of the day, excuse me, and you create blocks of time such as half-hour or hour-long chunks. You estimate the time it's going to take to complete each of your tasks and then fit them into your time blocks. You add buffer times in between each time block to allow for adjustments during the day because stuff comes up, right? So here's your question. Name the steps involved in the time blocking method. Select all that apply. So there's more than one correct answer here. And by the way, you may notice a leaderboard hanging out over here. If you ever want to hide that leaderboard, you can simply click on that to hide it. And if you want to bring it back to keep that competition level high, you can do that. So maybe halfway through, I want to shout out to Alexis for being on top of the leaderboard. Great job. And so we have all of our results just about in. This is kind of where we landed. And the correct answers are all of them. So well done, great job. And your last technique that we're going to learn about, time management, is the rapid planning method, RPM, also known as the result, purpose, and massive action plan. This is developed by Tony Robbins. It is a way to train your brain to focus on a vision of what you want so you can make it real. It's best for people with long-term goals. And how it works is you write down all of the tasks you need to accomplish this week. You chunk your tasks together by commonalities such as kids, schools, work, social and obligations, etc. You create your own blocks on the top of your sheet. You make 3 columns, the task, the result you want from completing that task, and your purpose for doing it. And then you list the actions you will take to accomplish that. And then you give yourself an empowering role. Any title will work if it, gets you motivated and jazzed. I'm going to start using jazzed a lot more often. I like that word, about completing your goal. So here's your question. The rapid planning method was developed by TED Talks. True or false? Okay. Very good. Most of you are saying false, and that is, in fact, correct. It was Tony Robbins. Okay, couple additional questions, and then we're done with the modules. So this is a bonus question. Your points are doubled. Which method would be best for people experiencing burnout? If you were reading Fine Line, you may have picked up on this. And if you've noticed, there is a timer going. So that's an optional setting. The timer is a setting, and having the points decrease as time goes on is a setting, and I have both. So we'll see how this leaderboard ends up. Okay, so some of you, 22% thought it was A, 56 think it's B, 11% say D. And the correct answer is B. Well done. Very good. You guys are paying attention. I love it. Okay, so we're going to take a poll. After you've learned about these 5 time management strategies, which one would you like to try? So this is a poll. You get participation points. There's no correct answer, by the way. And you're getting to see some of, your friends' answers coming in live. That's also an optional setting. Maybe it's hard to pick just one. I get it. Okay, so here's our little heat map. Most of you really like the pickle jar theory. Cool. Maybe you can give it a whirl. And then the final question, one more. How confident do you feel to create something like this? This is an open-ended question. Alexis says yes. Love it. You're just going to type in your response, and then we get to see those responses live as they come in. Pretty confident, pretty good, somewhat okay. I got a couple of maybes. That's totally okay. Definitely from Haley. Love it. Ooh, Haley, you took the leaderboard. Very nice. And that, I believe, is it. Yeah, there's our closing. So congratulations. Mastering time management is definitely a benefit in all areas of life. This is our closing screen. I can look at participants here. Yay, congratulations, Haley. Hopefully that was helpful. And then I can also look at the most challenging questions from that session. So as an instructor, I immediately get some feedback that is helpful, useful, and important on how we inform our instructional criteria in our content, right? So I immediately get some of this information, and I can also access a reporting tool if I want. So we're going to close this out. Well done. Thank you so much for participating in that. Whoops. I need to give you an option to see how I built that. Jump the gun on that. Okay, so here is the Bravo Zone. This is the landing page of the Bravo Zone. Some of you are very familiar with this. Some of you may not be, and that's fantastic. So today, what I would like to show you is the template that I used called Tally. It is one of the 8 templates that we currently offer. It is an interactive presentation tool. It allows you to use your own PowerPoint slides like I was doing today, for instance. But it also encourages people to participate and interact throughout the content like you were doing, instead of just sitting back and passively learning and maybe tuning out and maybe start, scrolling your social media feeds, etc. So we're going to take a look. I'm going to go to my content. And we're just going to take a look at what I created here today. So we're going to start here. The builder is fairly intuitive. It should walk you right through it. So step 1, you titled your content. This will always be instructor-led because it's only for live presentations. I hit next. And then here's where all of my content came from. You'll notice this library right over here. I had all of my information in this folder, my time management module right here. And so I am able to import media directly from my PowerPoint slides. And basically I'm only doing that per slide, and I can save and transform that format of that PowerPoint slide into a JPEG or a PNG file, and then load that into my presentation. So if you still want and need a little bit of lecture and graphics and those things, great, you can use that. The slide option is here. And then we have all of these other options in Tally as well for how to create your question types in a variety of ways, like we said we should be doing, right? So we had a true or false question. We had a select all that apply question. We did have a polling question. We did have an open-ended question, and we did have an image mapping question. And that was all done within about 10 minutes, I think. So just as an example that these things can be created, I think I created this in a span of a few hours in an afternoon, and I realized I may have more latitude with my time than any and all of you do. But these things can be created rather quickly. So here are our slides. Here's the true or false question. And I basically was kind of going by a slide and then a question, a slide and then a question, a slide and then a question. And that's really the encouragement and invitation from Tally, is that you are using this ratio of lecture and interaction consistently throughout, right? So people, again, don't, there's no passive learning here. They kind of have to participate with you. And then if I want to double the questions, I can. So I have that bonus question, right? And then the settings of each question, you can play with these points. So if it was a polling question, I gave you participation points and it was like 10 points, right? Or the open-ended question. But maybe I have a more difficult question and I want to, really up it. So here's where you can do that. It'll default to 100 points. You get to play with that. Here are those settings that I was mentioning too. So those responses coming in live, sometimes that's fun to see and you can toggle that on. Maybe it's a more difficult question and you don't want people to get information up front and you toggle that off. If you want to use a visual chart, you have some options here. And then the open-ended question was at the very bottom here. And this is very simply an open-ended question that creates that live dialogue. And this is great for, I think, closing out a session, maybe as a survey style, or opening it up as an onboarding style. It allows people to give you their thoughts, their feedback, their comments. But it's in an interactive environment and other people get to see it. So it helps to, like I said, just kind of have a conversation, create that dialogue. And then you'll notice that each question, for those of you who are new, is also surrounded by a preview tab and a summary tab. And those of you who are using this, maybe this is a good reminder, those are really good ways to add context to each question. So maybe I use a preview slide to introduce a concept, or maybe I want to play a quick YouTube video or your own, learning instructional video that you have to talk about a concept. And then that way, my question can be short and concise and relevant to what they just watched or learned about. And then my summary tab allows me to reinforce that idea, right? So you're creating kind of that context sandwich around each question. And when we do that, this is how this becomes a teaching tool and not just a review tool. So we're going beyond, pointed questions and answer types. We are introducing concepts and learning about them, and then applying what we've just learned, and then summarizing and reinforcing what we just learned in one question, in one session repeatedly. And that's where that, real knowledge retention comes in. There's a psychological name for it that I am forgetting right now. But basically it is transforming your short-term memory into long-term memory. And then you are readily accessible and can apply that knowledge, in your job role, which is what we're talking about today. So each one of these templates, each one of these questions has this option and, different settings that you can play with. So that's creating your content. It's very straightforward. So I click here to add my content, and then I'm off to the races in this particular template. And then you have all kinds of media options, audio options, and this is where you go to add that PowerPoint slide if you want to add that. Okay, and then in Tally, you have more customizable options as well. So you can play with the background here. You can use any of our offerings or you upload your own. So then this is when your presentations can start to look and feel very branded to what you want them to see and feel and experience. So you can upload your image right here or use any of ours. You can play with the font and the background color and some of those fun things. And this is where you can use your own opening screen. I just use a simple slide, and same with the closing screen. You also have an audio option that I forgot to mention for each question and for each opening and closing. So the audio includes any MP3 files or MP4 files, or maybe you want to narrate it. We're going to talk about how to convert this into a self-paced session in just a second, but this is where I go to do that. You'd simply hit start, and then stop when you're done recording. And this allows kind of that immersive audio experience, especially for self-paced learning. Great for that. And then we're going to move on to our options, the technical side at the end here. So just like you did, participants use their devices. It can be their computer, it can be their phone, it can be their tablet, anything that connects to the internet. You can use Teams. If you wanted to do this as a team-based, team building activity, you can certainly use Teams instead. And then you have an option of up to 10 teams. So maybe you have a huge gathering, or it's a conference or a seminar where you have quite a few people and you need more teams to do so. Great, you have that option. You can customize these little avatars if you'd like. You can use your own image, like, pictures of your department heads, or we have a host of different avatars in here that you can use as well. And then the timer, optional, that you can use. If you use this, it does apply it globally to every single question. Thank you. Consolidation. I knew it started with a C. Thank you. Consolidation, the process of transferring short-term memory or long-term memory. That's what it was. Run a timer for each question. You can determine how many seconds you would like for each question, and then you can have those points reduced, which really adds that pressure and competitive edge to that. This is where you can modify any of the interface text if you want it to say something different. And then if this is new to you, we have added a demographic field to the types of data that you can collect from each session. And this was to answer a call and a need and a request from our clientele base. And so what this means is you can determine what kind of information you would like from them. So you need their name, maybe you want their email. And then if I want to add demographics, I can determine by department how people are participating, or by branch, or whatever demographics you use that might help you, you can do that here. And these are all optional. So this is really only for you if it helps you to filter out some of this information while you're playing Tally and on the reporting tool on the back end as well. So again, optional, you can use them, or you use none of them and people can participate anonymously. So additional options there. And then your last step is always to publish. So once I publish this link becomes live, and that is my presentation. That link is pretty versatile, right? You can embed that into a PowerPoint presentation. You can put it into an image, you can put it into a Word, or you can just have a browser screen open and ready to play. Lots of different options there. I won't go into too much of the sign-in requirements today because we're close to the end of our time, but I do want to point this out right here. So we did a Tally experience, which is always designed to be live for webinars, for classrooms, for conferences, etc. If I wanted to make this a self-paced quiz or learning module, all I have to do is hit this button to convert it. And that converts it to our template called Spark, which is designed specifically for e-learning or self-paced learning. Now, All I might have to do is tweak a couple of my questions here or there if they were designed for live entertainment, or I just run with it and publish it. And now I have a self-paced module to put on social media or to leave on our website. Or if you have an LMS, all of our templates, with the exception of Tally, because it's live, are SCORM compliant and will work directly with your LMS. And then they can just become part of a learning module there as an entertaining and interactive element. So that's basically it. If you have any additional questions on, Tally, on the Bravo Zone, on any of those things, we are more than happy to answer them. Here's some of the resources that I used, if you're wondering. And I hope that was fun and inspiring example of, the learning module as power of play, how it doesn't take much. In fact, you can use your own PowerPoint slides that you already have. You can provide serious learning that has a fun and interactive purpose. It can be for soft skills, it can be for hard skills and beyond. So if you would like, last shot at dialogue in the chat. If you have any questions that you want to ask, please feel free. If you want to share anything that you just learned today, please feel free. If you want a free trial, visit our website. And then also, we will be hosting these monthly webinars for free every month, and they're on various game-based training topics. They'll be posted on our website. You'll find them in social media. They're sent out in our newsletters. And then next month, we will be running a pub trivia contest. It will be going all month, March 1st through March 31st. And then we have all of these tiered giveaways. The grand prize is a free annual license, which is valued at $1,595. So if you're not part of our mailing list, please make sure that you're able to join, or find it on our website or find it on our social media. So thank you so much for joining this webinar today. I really hope it provided, maybe one or two insights for you to bring back to your training. You can see the current templates that we offer here in the Bravo Zone. I mentioned we're coming out with a brand new one in the spring that we're excited about. Tally is what I demoed today. If you are interested in a free no strings trial, we'd love to get you set up with one. You can try it out all by yourself, see if it's the right fit for you. You can scan that QR code to our website for more information, or feel free to reach out to my personal contact here at any time at the bottom of the page here. So we look forward to chatting with you soon and helping you find more unique ways to provide for your training and learning. I'm going to hang out here in case people have questions. Otherwise, thank you so much for joining today. Have a wonderful day.